Formula 2. The step just below Formula 1, Formula 2 was established in 2017 as a direct successor to the GP2 series. In 2024, a brand new car was introduced, closing the gap to Formula 1 even more. They're around 10 seconds slower than F1. However, after the biggest rule change in recent history back in 2014, the GP2 cars were even faster than the slowest F1 cars on some weekends. The Caterham Junior team would have outqualified their F1 team in Barcelona, for example. Formula 2 has 2 races per weekend, a shorter sprint race and a longer feature race. During this feature race, drivers are mandated to make at least one pit stop to change their tyre compound. Each weekend, they have a hard and soft tyre. The race distance for the sprint race is 120 kilometers, while the feature race covers 170 kilometers. To make the weekend more interesting, the top 10 start in a reversed order in the sprint race. Nowadays, Formula 2 uses a 3.4-litre V6 engine from Renault Mecrachrome with 620 horsepower. All F1 feeder series are what we call a spec series, which means that every driver has the same car with the same engine. But even though this suggests that each car is equal, that's far from the truth. In 2024, the car of Joshua Dirksen was much faster on the straights than his competitors, so viewers started inventing the Mecrachrome lottery, a sarcastic way of showcasing how much luck is involved. Nonetheless, winning races in this category gives you the highest chance of graduating to F1. Plus, there's also a rule which prohibits the champion of the series from competing in the next season. Drivers like Charles Leclerc, George Russell and Oscar Piastri have all won the title in their debut season. Same goes for the Sauber pair of Bortoleto and Hülkenberg, who won the series back in 2009 under the name GP2. A year later, GP3 held its first ever race. This series is now known as Formula 3. And just like Formula 2, the F3 calendar follows Formula 1 around the world. But contrary to Formula 2, the F3 season ends much earlier, in September, after the last race in Europe. The drivers are much younger here, some are even under 18 years old. Still, their cars feature a 3.4-litre V6 engine from Mecrachrome, which delivers up to 380 horsepower. Since the cars are much smaller than Formula 1 and 2 and also much lighter, they can reach up to 300 km per hour. The races are much shorter than F2, but they also have a sprint and a feature race. And just like F2, in the sprint race, the order of the top drivers is reversed, this time with the top 12. The biggest change for this series came in 2019. Before this time, there were several Formula 3 championships all over the world. The Formula 3 series we know today is a result of a fusion between the GP3 series and the European Formula 3 Championship. The F3 grid features 30 cars from 10 different teams, which often results in carnage. The races are entertaining, but also oftentimes cut short due to multiple safety cars. F1 drivers Oscar Piastri and Gabriele Bortoleto have both won the title in this category, with famous drivers like Valtteri Bottas, Charles Leclerc, George Russell and the late Antoine Hubert winning the title under the name GP3. Max Verstappen, by the way, raced only one season in junior categories before graduating to F1. The series he drove in, European F3 Championship, the other predecessor to the modern F3. He finished third that year behind Tom Blomqvist and Esteban Ocon. Formula 4. Actually, there is no the Formula 4 racing series. However, Formula 4 is probably the most important single-seater category because it's the starting point for almost every young driver today. There are a ton of regional Formula 4 championships like Italian F4, Spanish F4 or Brazilian F4. I can put a list of every championship on the screen because there really are a ton. The category itself got introduced in 2014, intended to help young drivers transition from karts to single-seater cars. To compete in Formula 4, you just need to be 15 years old. While Formula 4 cars follow strict regulations, we also don't have the Formula 4 car. Instead, the only rule is every F4 series can only use one type of car with one type of engine. This way, every driver in the championship has the same car and there are no unfair advantages. However, there are multiple F4 cars a series can choose. The best known version is the Tatuus F4 T421, but the French F4 uses a chassis from Miguel. The engines are not allowed to exceed 156 horsepower and must feature 4 cylinders. Most of the other rules are focused on keeping the costs as low as possible. Formula 4, even though it can be hard to find a live stream, can be very fun to watch. Less aerodynamic means they can follow each other closely, and the inexperience of the drivers can lead to chaotic races. Formula Regional. This series actually comes between Formula 4 and Formula 3 in the junior category ladder. Like with Formula 4, there are a few series under this name, not just one Formula Regional. Apart from the British GB3, which also uses a different car, all Formula Regional events are held with the same car built by Tatus. After the series merged with Formula Renault Euro Cup in 2021, all cars feature a 270 horsepower Renault engine. Unlike Formula 1, F2 and F3, who all feature DRS to help drivers overtake, this series uses a push-to-pass system like the one used in IndyCar. Andrea Kimi Antonelli is probably the famous winner of this championship. He won the FRECA series in 2023. FRECA stands for Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine. Formula 1 drivers Franco Colapinto, Isaac Hadjar and Gabriele Bortoleto also raced in this series before. Also very popular among European drivers is the Formula Regional Oceania Championship. This series is the successor to the Toyota Racing Series, and all races are held in Australia and New Zealand. Because they race in the European winter, many young drivers try their luck in Down Under. Their 2025 champion is Arvid Lindblad. The Red Bull Junior will most likely see driving in F1 next season. Super Formula Light. We stay in Asia for probably the most interesting entry in this list. Super Formula is Japan's biggest open-wheel racing series. One could argue that Super Formula Light isn't even an F1 feeder series, but more of a feeder series to Super Formula itself. Nonetheless, they're counted as a junior-level feeder formula, and while the same would be true for IndyCar with their multiple feeder categories not included in this video, Super Formula uses the same chassis as the European single-seater scene. The engines are built by Toyota and the tyres are supplied by Kumho. They've supplied the series since 2011 when it was still called Japanese Formula 3. Back in the day, many drivers from Europe took part in the series. Former F1 drivers have won the championship, like Pedro de la Rosa in 1995. In 2006, Adrian Sutil won the title, and in 2009, Marcus Ericsson followed them. Since 2020, when the series got rebranded to Super Formula Light, only Japanese drivers managed to win the title. However, their first champion, Ritomo Miyata, drives in Formula 2 right now. Euro Formula Open. Next on the list is the Euro Formula Open. The chassis, the Dallara 324, is the same that's used in the Super Formula Light series. However, the Euro Formula Open is a somewhat special series. It struggled for years since it sits between F3 and F4, but it's by far not as popular as Formula Regional. This year, only 12 cars are regularly taking place in races. However, this is a big improvement compared to previous years. In 2024, many races just featured 7 cars. Still, the series has seen many famous drivers over the years. In 2019, both Yuki Tsunoda and Liam Lawson competed there. This year's grid features Fernando Barrichello, the younger son of Rubens Barrichello. The engine for this year is built by Toms. They use a 1.6 turbocharged Toyota, which produces 275 horsepower. So these cars should be fun to drive, and even if close, they have the most powerful engines behind Formula 3. F1 Academy. Even though the name suggests something else, this series uses F4 cars and is considered entry-level open-wheel racing. What makes this series special is that it's a female-only racing series. Because of this, the F1 Academy faces a lot of criticism, with many people fearing that separating women from men doesn't benefit but rather hurt their careers. Marta Garcia, their first champion in 2023, finished her 2024 season in FRECA with 0 points in 28th place, fueling the critics. However, Abby Pulling is on a mission to show what women can do in motorsport. She currently sits 13th out of 31 drivers in GB3 with a best finish of P5 at the season opener in Silverstone. The F1 Academy races alongside Formula 1 on 7 race weekends this year. They also have 2 races per weekend, and in Canada they also have a third. The reason for that was that the second race in Miami was cancelled due to bad weather. The grid features 18 cars from 6 different teams, all of which are also competing in Formula 2 and 3. Additionally, each F1 team needs to support 1 female driver, which can be seen by the liveries. The high-tech team also features a wildcard entry each race weekend. F1 Academy cars are powered by a turbocharged 4-cylinder engine developed by Auto Technica, producing around 165 horsepower. What do you think of a female-only championship? Let me know in the comments down below. Karting. Just like Formula 4, there is not one special karting series out there. Still, this is where every F1 driver starts their career. Nowadays, Formula 1 teams start scouting for talent in these categories, with some teams even signing young talents during their time in karts. Especially the bigger karting championships are vastly different than the rental karts you and me can drive on the weekends. Explaining them will be a tale for another video. Now, if you enjoyed this one, make sure to subscribe and also watch this video next. Here I explain every major racing series on Earth, featuring F1, NASCAR, WEC and many more. See you soon.